Hi everybody, it's Pamela Atwood, gerontologist, certified dementia practitioner, and certified laughter leader. Welcome back to our Confident Caregiver series. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a show, and I apologize that I've been away. I've been traveling a lot and working a lot on writing, and I'm about to finish my first ebook ready for you all to go to agingcareacademy.org and you can request it. But before we get into that, let me give you a little update on what's going on. First of all, Aging Care Academy is going strong. We've got some wonderful courses that we've been doing live. We've had our online courses going as well. You can get information about our educational opportunities at agingcareacademy.org. Also for Hebrew Healthcare, there have been a lot of changes and ongoings on. So we've been really busy. I've been traveling from Wisconsin to New Jersey to New York again. And it's been exciting and wonderful. And it's been a very busy spring so far. So today in Connecticut, it is a nice 63 degrees, but extremely windy. So it kind of feels like it's March. We're not real happy about it, but there's warmer weather coming, and pretty soon we'll all be complaining about how hot it is. So I wanted to share with you all some wonderful information today that actually came to us as a request through Instagram. So one of our viewers and people who connects with us on Instagram wrote in when I was asking, what are some of the topics we should cover in our shows? This suggestion came in. The question was, how do we deal with some of the loneliness and isolation that comes from being a full-time or even part-time in-home caregiver? So I took some time to think about that, and I took some resources, put them together, and we'll talk about that now. So let's start with loneliness and isolation and what that is. First of all, a lot of therapists and counselors will tell you these are feelings, and it's normal feeling. It can happen, especially with depression. It doesn't always mean that someone's depressed, but one of the key things is to first look at how have these feelings been. Are they intermittent? Are they coming and going? Or have they been really persistent for the last 2 weeks or so? If you're feeling isolated and lonely and a little anxious or sad, you may actually be depressed. And I don't want people to look at that and say, oh, here she goes. She's another, mumbo jumboer with these labels and everybody needs a medication. I'm not saying that necessarily, but I do want to recognize that a lot of times when people are in a stressful situation, a caregiving situation is usually stressful. What happens is they kind of lose their sense of direction. They lose their compass on what it is to feel normal. So I want to encourage people to talk to their health professionals if they're feeling that they might be depressed. The health professional can do a quick screen and say yay or nay, and maybe it's not even an issue. But there are a couple of other ideas that I had. So one of the things that I do is I actually have created over at Hebrew Healthcare a forgetfulness-friendly choir. And they've named themselves Noteworthy Voices. I think I've mentioned it a couple of times on this show. But this came about because of a woman with dementia who started visiting her senior center choral group. And her aide is wonderful at keeping her engaged and taking her out and about so that neither of them get too lonely. As the aide Michelle says, it's not just her that needs this, I need this too. So they went to their local, to make a long story short, or short story long, they went to their local senior center and asked the senior center, gee, could we join your choir? But my person Joy has memory problems, so we don't have to perform with you, though. We'll just rehearse with you. She just wants to be a part of making some music, being part of an ensemble. And they told her no. Can you even imagine? That to me is so horrible. As a singer, I'm always going to want to sing. I'm always going to want to be a part of an ensemble group that makes music together or have music a part of my life. So it crushes me to think that somebody would say no to someone who wanted to do that. So luckily, her aide called me and we created something that would meet their needs. So go out, find your people, find whoever it is that has a shared interest. Sometimes if you're a caregiver working in a private home, you're isolated because you might be homebound. But for many people, you're not homebound, you're just idea bound. You need some fresh ideas. Some of the things that I came up with, just making a quick list. Basically what you want to do is you want to get out and about. You want to go to the local park. You want to watch the kids play basketball. You want to watch the dogs in the dog walks. You want to maybe go to the Humane Society and start volunteering to be a pet visitor. You can also go to a museum or another art thing. A lot of colleges and a lot of large businesses now also have, and a lot of community centers like your local Jewish community center or your humanities center in your town may have a gallery. Also, a lot of the local art groups. So like in Connecticut, we have the Greater Hartford Arts Council. A lot of these places have free galleries to go and look at some of the art. So you can go and do that. Whatever it is that you want to do, you want to make your own community. So find 3 or 4 things that bring you joy. You don't have to do them every day. If you do something every day, the person you're caring for may get just plain exhausted. So it may be better just to do things 2 or 3 times a week. So on Mondays, you're going to go to a museum. On Tuesdays, you're going to go to the Humane Society. On Thursdays, you're going to go, I don't know, to a knitting club. I don't know what it is. But what you want to focus on in each one of these little exploits is you want to focus on the people that you meet. Go to your local Dunkin' Donuts and get to know the person who's always there every morning. In our town, her name is Darcy. She's wonderful. But get to know the people. That is truly how you defeat the loneliness and the isolation. Now, if you can't create your own community, maybe what you want to do is create a meetup. So if you go online and you check meetups.com, and it's a really cool site, I do worry a little bit about, making sure that the people that you meet are safe. So you always want to do a meetup in a safe location. But you can also do online meetups. Find people who have something in common with you. There are all kinds of meetups for senior caregivers. There are groups that you can do together. You can say, okay, well, hey, let's all meet at the local drive-in theater, or let's go to the movies, or let's go, whatever. There are different ways that you can connect with people who have shared interests. And when you're going to a group where your meetup, we're all together in this and all of us are caregivers, you don't have to worry about, if I go to a public place with my person who might, ask repeated questions or become bathroom focused or whatever, you're with other people who are caregivers, they're going to understand. So that immediately cuts that loneliness. One of the stories I was going to share is we had when in the Parkinson's support group that I run, last year we had our annual meeting right after the support group meeting. And we had invited the folks, because in the American Parkinson's Disease Association, anybody who participates in a group is an automatic member. You don't have to have a separate membership. So we had invited everybody in for our annual meeting in our chapter. And what we did was we had a new member who came for the first time, and I encouraged them to stay for dinner. One of the local Atria facilities had hosted and provided the dinner for us. So they were very generous, and this particular family just stayed, and she couldn't believe it because in the middle of the dinner, her husband started to choke a little bit on his food. And she said, if we were out in a restaurant, I would have been mortified and the anxiety would have picked up. And I would have just been so embarrassed for him and for me. And I would have wanted to just get out of there as quickly as possible. She said, but I didn't have to worry about that because you all understood. You all knew. And you all weren't afraid of what was happening. Being with other people where you don't have to have those anxieties and fears and worries about dignity is an incredible gift. So I encourage you to go find those opportunities for yourself and for the person you're a caregiver for. So if you can't do those things, make sure you get support in a different way. The last resource that I have for you, or the other resource that I have, and maybe you have other resources for us, you can feel free to share it, is actually with agingcare.com. Now, those of you who watch these shows know that I don't usually promote a .com, but this one is very good, and I do get their news sheet every day. I think it's every day, several times a week at the very least. And I don't read all of the articles, but they are pretty decent and full of lots of information. I do ask that you read it skeptically, just like we do with any kind of research that we're reading or any articles that we're reading. But if you go to the Caregiver Forum, they have a lot of different online forums and online support groups for people. And you can find people with all different aging care issues. Maybe you're taking care of your father who has a vision impairment and a hearing issue, or a long-term mental health issue, or maybe you're the private caregiver for someone with Lewy body dementia or someone who has MS. There are all kinds of different folks out there who are online looking for you to support them as well as for them to support you. And there's lots of resources and information on that site. So that's agingcare.com. And the other thing that I was going to suggest is to take a class. A lot of times, whether it's an in-person class or an online class, and we have lots of online classes, you can actually connect with other people in that class and form a relationship with them. No matter what it is that you choose to do to reduce your loneliness, there are a couple of things that any good therapist would also encourage. Number one, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, make sure it's not depression. Number two, a lot of people say, kill your television. Why? Because a lot of times the television dramas that we all watch all day just feed into all of the perpetual woe is me kind of feelings. And it really becomes cyclical and damaging because you just don't quite have the emotional abilities to see things in a different way. So be careful that you're not watching too much television. Third, get out and exercise. Not only are you increasing your chances of meeting other people, but the adrenaline goes through you and those good feelings start to perk up a little bit, and it cuts down on the feelings of loneliness and isolation. So those are my tips for today. I thank you for watching, and I have one of my favorite cards here. This one is, are you willing to let go today? In order to give the best of yourself, you must surrender the worst about yourself. Oh, that one's tough. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe tune in next time and we'll find out. Or I'll just find another card that makes a little more sense and a little easier for me to percolate. Anyway, thank you so much. Don't forget to look us up on agingcareacademy.org. That's www.agingcareacademy.org. Of course, you can always find us at hebrewhealthcare.org. And follow me on Instagram at pamela.atwood or on Twitter at pamatwoodalz. Talk to you soon, and I hope you stay a confident caregiver. Thanks.